Okay, peace and blessings and namaste to all light warriors, workers, and everything in between. It is I, Sophie, today, and I'm going to do a brief but kind of detailed transmission, heartfelt, authentic transmission to address one of the comments that was left by my name, a subscriber, and really going back and forth with these soul swappings and infiltrations. Okay, and we're going to get into that, and I'm only going to present it from my level of understanding. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that now, and some things I might not be aware of, but if that is the case, I do have a brother and a sister that could possibly help you a little bit further, with this. But that's what this transmission is going to be about. Now, first, we're going to get the shameless plugs out the way. Me, myself, and I, in her Etsy shop, okay, is holding all of the prototypes and all of the mercs for the Dragon Lotus Meta Spiritual Society coffee mugs. I got mine today, okay? And I'm going to leave her link in the description box. This is for those of you who are proud to be dragons, okay? And you don't give no craps about what anyone says about you, and you know your mission, and you know that you're a dragon, or you know that you have dragon energy, then I would go ahead and represent the brand, okay? The link is in the description box. Also, they come in different colors. They come in white, and then they have some pinks and things like that, just to show your support for the dragon mission here, okay? Me, myself, and I coffee mugs. Now, even if you're not interested in representing the dragon, just browse through her stuff, okay? She's got some very funny, very humorous, very good quotes and sayings on there. You might find something that you like, even if you're an animal lover. She has those on there too as well. So once again, it's me, myself, and I, and you can get your DLMS coffee mug here, okay? And that link is in the description box, and let's go ahead and be supportive. And this is a sister. You know what I mean? This is another light worker, another light warrior, getting her business off the ground. This is what we're all here for. We're going to support one another. So just look at it, okay? Look through her stuff and try to send her some of your support, okay? Thank you. And tell her Sophie sent you. Also, next shameless plug before we get into that. This is still available for purchase, okay? This is my first book that I wrote about 10 years ago. It's called Rise of the Ezer Kenegdo, The Spiritual Awakening of the Black Woman. Now, what I want to share with you is I wrote this book for a particular demographic going through a particular thing, okay? And this was during the time where I was meeting a lot of sisters that have gotten, oh Lord, wrapped up in these cults. Okay, these cults, these Hebrew Israelite cults that did not have their best interests at heart. And in this book, I break down what it is really to be an Ezer Kenegdo, which was the original title that was given to the woman, okay, the Isha, what her true role and intentions was by the Creator, okay, and how to maneuver if you've ever gotten yourself into any type of cults. So even though this was written for Black women that was going through a particular group, it is still beneficial for any woman out there who needs to really understand or identify what a divine feminine represents, what her role was, what was given to her by the Creator that is outside of these religious norms and things like that. I am going to warn you that the novel can be graphic at times because I am pulling from actual stories from women who have been in these type of cults and were getting mentally and spiritually abused, okay, by men who, thought that they were there to just please them. Okay, so even if you are not an African American woman or a Black woman, you can still benefit from this book because your tale might be different. It might not be with the Hebrew Israelites. It could be with the Mennonite Society. It could be with something else. Okay, but if you're wanting to know what the divine feminine is, what the Ezer Kenegdo represents, okay, why we were here, all of the clues that was left for us, then you can get this book too. It is available on Amazon, Rise of the Ezer Kenegdo, okay, Spiritual Awakening of the Black Woman. It is a good read. It is a very good read and is highly informative, cultural, all of that stuff, okay? We go back and we revisit these things and we bring them to light so that you can understand what your role truly is. We're not here to play no games. Not this time, right? Okay, now let's get to the topic. The shameless plugs are, that link is in the description as well. Shameless plugs are gone. All right, now, this is going to be difficult for me to talk about. My name had made a few comments, talking about infiltrations, okay? And she's not well, I don't know if that's a she, but they're not the first person to bring this up. I have dealt with some personal one-on-ones where people were saying that they were fighting against a nature, like that wasn't their own, like they were feeling like they were being infiltrated, okay? What I want to say about this is there's some things that I do know that was taking place, but I never felt like I was being infiltrated. Okay. So I'm going to take you back to 2019 going into 2020. There were, things that we have read in the past, in our religious texts and things like that, that kind of went over our head. Like we weren't understanding a lot of things that were being taught during that time. And because man, strives to want to seem wise or want to seem knowledgeable, sometimes we go ahead and put our own spins or interpretations on what we think scriptures are actually saying, because we're trying to make sense out of this stuff, right? Let's be honest. These are things that's been left down for us, to us, or passed to us, but might not be applicable in our day and age. So as we're going through these religious texts and writings, we're trying to figure out how it actually applies. Now, one of the things, a few of the scriptures that started standing out to me in 2019 and in 2020, okay, was number one, lest ye be born again, be the whole concept of being born again, being born of the Spirit, being born, reborn, that has always been prevalent in the Christian churches. Oh, I'm saved, I'm born again. Okay, what did that mean? Okay, number two, another scripture came across my memory that was dealing with Paul, that was explaining to his people that, we're going to judge the angels. Okay. Don't you know that you're going to judge the angels? Right. So, those two things started really standing out to me. What I was being brought aware of during that time was that we were getting ready to enter into a very unique point in history. Okay. And I'm only saying unique because of this generation. Okay, I'm not saying that this has not been done in the past, because it has been done in the past. As a matter of fact, it's been done in every eon. All right, but because we go through the veil of forgetfulness, we some of us aren't, native to this universe. Some of us are native to this universe. So your experience is going to be different. Just take it how it resonates. Okay, I am native to this universe. Okay, so that means I understand the laws, I understand the principles that are governing this universe. All right. Now, there was a broadcast that went out in about 2019 on YouTube that I actually woke up to. Okay. And this was supposed to be a channeled message from what they considered Lord Enki at that time. And what he was saying was, in this transmission, this channel transmission from this prophetess, okay, he had made a statement, and he said, in the beginning, man was made after our image, but in this day and age, now we have been made after your image, right? And I must have listened to that transmission maybe about 4 or 5 times. I let it sink in. And now when I go back to try to find it, I cannot find it. I cannot find it to save my life, okay? It was just words, like you didn't get a chance to see the channeler's face or anything like that, but you heard the message, and I know that it was a channeled message, and I know that it was unique because of some of the things that was being said in that message was some of the things that I already knew too, that was revealed to me as well. And not only that, but it made reference to some ancient texts as well. So he was saying there was a time when man was created in our image, and now we are created in your image. Okay, so that sat in the back of my mind for a while. Around 2019 and 2020, when I started going through my awakening, I kept calling people and telling people that I was getting ready to die. All right, and I was being told that I was going to die. And everybody that I shared this with thought it was so funny. Like, they weren't getting that message. They thought that I was delusional. They just brushed it off because they didn't understand what I meant. And to be honest with you, I didn't understand what I meant either. I was just relating the information that I was getting ready to die. And I knew it. Okay. And what I want to say to you is in 2020, I did. Okay. I died in my sleep. I stopped breathing in my sleep. My heart stopped in my sleep. And it was during that time that I was able to actually see a lot of my past lives and a lot of history, my incarnations, not only mine, but others as well. And some of the things that we did right and a lot of the things that we did wrong. All right. What I also was being warned of during that time is, okay, another scripture had come into mind. And that scripture was, judge not, lest ye be judged. For the same measure that you judge others, you yourself will be judged. Okay, now, up until this point, of my death and rebirth, I thought that we were just talking about here, as being humans to judging one another and whatnot, until I started realizing how the soul swapping and things like that started taking place. When I came back, I wasn't the same person. I didn't think the same. I didn't see things the same. I was always gifted as a child. I always had my third eye open. I could always communicate with spirits. But when I died and I came back, it was almost as if everything that was really dark or really negative in my psyche had completely been removed. So how I started processing life, how I started processing my journey, how I started processing my losses, my gains, my successes and my failures was completely different. The way that my energy worked was different. My communication was different. I was just not the same person. Okay? So when I was inquiring about these things, I was being told during this time that I was reminded of that scripture, and I was being told that there was one point where, the Elohim or our ancestors were sitting as judge and counsels over us, and that at a point in time we were going to switch off. Okay. And what that meant was human souls were going to raise now to a higher level of consciousness. Okay. And then they become the judges, and the Elohim, those who judged us harshly, those who were overseeing the planet, they were now going to walk out a human experience. And so they were receiving their karma as well. All right. Stay with me. Pay attention. Stay with me. I know this is difficult to understand. Okay, it's still taking me some time to understand it as well. All right. So after my death, okay, and my coming back, life being brought, being breathed back into me, and then I started going through some very powerful, significant changes. Okay, I would go to sleep, in the evening, my body would seize because it was my highest consciousness, okay, from a high dimension, trying to condense itself in a 3D body. Okay, so I was seizing in the evenings, while I was going to sleep. I would feel energy running through my body. Okay, I felt like I was shape-shifting at times in the astral realms. I couldn't explain it. I was calling my friends. I was calling my families. I was trying to figure out what was going on. At one point, it got goofy. I thought maybe I was a werewolf. I mean, all types of craziness was going on, and I had to kind of go through this by myself. All right. And I was told that I had to go through it first because there was going to be others that was coming behind me. And I would have to be responsible for explaining to them their journey and when this was happening. So it hit me first. And then after that, a couple of brothers and sisters started coming around saying, hey, this is what was happening to me. And after I went through that whole entire journey, I was able to explain that. In 2020, okay, after I went through my rebirth, and what that gave me a completely indifferent understanding of being born again now, okay? Because up until that point, remember, I was going by the church. I was raised up in church. I was a preacher in the church. I was a teacher in the church. So I was just thinking, we say our little prayers, we get a the newness of spirit, and that was it. But with me, it was more literal. It was a physical thing. Okay. It was a death and it was a rebirth. And when that rebirth came, it was a higher level of consciousness that came along to me. With it, a greater sense of awareness, greater telepathic communication, like all of that stuff. But I died. And that's why people who know me say that I'm completely different. I'm not the same. Okay. In that process, I visited with another being, okay, that was clothed in white. We were going down to the underworld, and we were teaching souls there, okay? We were teaching souls there. We were trying to get them to cross over and to purify their light. We were trying to minister to them, and I was dealing with an entity in this underworld. This entity was having a hard time wanting to release these souls, because in this entity's mind, these souls were just negative, all the way around. But as we were ministering to them, I got this entity to agree to release the souls. Now, when the souls were released, and it took a lot of coaxing, okay, for this, even I gave up, because I was fighting with this for maybe about a month, thinking that he was never going to do it. And I heard a feminine voice say, "Fight, Sophia, fight," and I just got really, really bold, and I ordered him to release these souls. Now, when these souls left the lower realm, they ended up on the earth realm. Okay. Now, the reason why they ended up on the earth realm was because they still had to walk out their karma to be able to ascend back to their higher states of consciousness. So they just left one level and went to the other level. Okay. Now, how does this fit in? Some of these souls that was released were looking for host bodies. Okay. Now, stay with me. The reason why I was not experiencing any type of infiltrations was because my vessel was already cleansed. It was already purified during that time. So I could not be infiltrated. Okay. But I only did so when I allowed my higher consciousness that I called in on myself. So there was no infiltration, but when I allowed my higher self to go ahead and completely do the transformation and to walk this earth in my higher self, I can no longer be infiltrated like that. Okay. So for those of you who are saying that you are feeling like you're fighting against a nature that is not your own, or that you feel like you're being forced into something, or there's some type of entity just trying to force its way in your body, it's possibly true. I'm going to include some links of deliverance prayers and things like that in this description if you are going through that. I did not go through that. Okay. So here's another thing. So they started walking the earth, and some of them were looking for host bodies, and the human could agree to this or not. Okay. If it was a lower vibrational issue, or if they caught you at a low vibrational state and there was no covering, okay, you wasn't walking with spirit, you didn't have spirit, then you may have found yourself being harassed by one of these spirits trying to get itself a vessel, and you're not agreeing to it, so that they're trying to get themselves a vessel so they can walk out their karma and do the right things so that they can be ready to ascend as well. All right. Now, when I figured out that we were doing some of this soul swapping, that some of them were coming from the underworld to the earth realm, okay, and then others were coming from celestial realms to the earth realm and taking the human soul and taking it back. One of the big things that I had gotten during that time was about the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, all right? And it was during that time that I held a moon meditation, okay, to pray for the people of the earth. What was happening during that time was for those who had made contracts that during a certain time that they were going to go ahead and incorporate their higher selves, or they were going to awaken and be activated and operate as gods on this earth. It started happening during that conjunction. This was when Saturn and Jupiter actually lined up, right? Now, I was told during that time that we needed 11% of the Earth's population to be on board with the ascension process, to transition their spirits or their souls to that unconditional love and that light energy, so that the Earth itself would leave the orbit of Saturn and go into the orbit of Jupiter. Okay. However, if we could not get 11% of the population to do this, then individually we would be transitioning. Okay. Individually we would be transitioning. So what was happening during that time is those who higher consciousness was residing in one area and the lower was in another. When this conjunction came, a lot of the high spirits came down and released the lower spirits back up. So they did the switching. All right. So this is why some of you are feeling all of this DNA activations, or you're not feeling like you're yourself anymore, or you're vibing on this higher vibration and you couldn't figure out why this was happening. Soul swapping happened during that Saturn-Jupiter conjunction. All right. So what happened with me, the lower level, the lower nature of myself that was always in trouble, that was always mischievous, that was always, now don't get me wrong, I'm still mischievous and I'm still trouble, okay? Because your personality doesn't change, your character does, right? So if I was always going to be mischievous and fun and all of that stuff, I'm still going to be that today. It's just that my character is going to reflect a different nature. In other words, I can still do the same things, and as long as I'm harming none, I'm good, okay? Whereas in the past, it didn't matter if I harmed you, all right? It really didn't matter, because at that time I was still trying to discover myself, my place in this world, and I had already been hurt a lot. So if I hurt people, right? So I had to even go through even those type of lessons of learning that it's just better to just take your hands off of things, okay, and live a peaceful life and watch the universe manifest. But when I died, that's what happened. And so I started understanding that everything that I saw was different. Right now, in that group of prayer links that I'm putting in the description box, this came from a brother that was experiencing what he would describe as infiltrations, like somebody's signals coming into his brain. You know what I mean? People having the ability to tap into his consciousness and see through his eyes, things of that nature. And he felt like he was constantly battling with another nature other than himself, which was possibly the truth. So if you are going through that, I checked in on him and he said that these prayers had actually helped him, and that he's feeling a lot better. And that's why I'm including it for you. If you feel like you are battling with another nature that is outside of yourself and you cannot control it, and it is not something that you agree to, okay? For others like myself who opened this up to say, okay, I'm calling forth my higher self into this. Yes, it's going to be a little awkward and weird. Yes, you're going to change a whole lot. No, people are not going to relate to you. Yes, you're going to be weird. Yes, you're going to be talked about, all of that stuff. But make no mistakes about it. You're not crazy. Okay? Make no mistakes about it. You are here. And a lot of the Elohim are actually walking the earth. And this means both positive and negative. Okay? Now, the ones that are walking, or not going to say negative, the disagreeables, the ones who didn't really learn, okay? For those cases, those who are walking the earth that have found host bodies, they're wreaking a little bit of havoc right now, okay? They are wreaking a little bit of havoc right now. But people like myself and people like you are here to teach them. Okay, remember, I've been telling y'all for a very long time, and I don't know if y'all got it or not, but I kept saying, I'm not here to reach the masses. I'm not here for humanity. I'm not here to go viral. I'm here to teach the Elohim. This is what I have been doing in the astral realms, in the ether realms, in the celestial realms, and now it's manifesting here on the earth. All right, so you're going to see that there are some disagreeables that have taken host bodies that are kind of wreaking havoc on the earth, but we are teaching them. These are they who are getting a second chance to go through their ascension process since they have been released from the under realms. Okay? For the higher levels of consciousness, those soul swapping started taking place on all of these eclipses. All right. This is not something that is brand new. This has always been done. It's been done in the past. Okay. So there could be a chance that some of you may have actually died as well and just don't know it. All right. I did a video early on saying why fear, you're already dead. People didn't get that. Okay, but that was based off of the experience that I went through when I kept telling people that I was getting ready to die. I was getting ready to leave. That was one nature switching over to the other one. So when I came back, yes, I was born again. All right. So majority of my life is Sophie now. Okay. Vella still hangs out every now and then. Vella's on TikTok. Okay. Vella has a good time on TikTok. Okay. But for the most part of my life, when I'm interacting with people, when I'm putting goals into place, things of that nature, that's Sophie. Okay, that's me incorporating that higher self and everything that I went through during that time in that season. How I was able to see the 3 days of darkness. I experienced them 3 nights back to back in all different levels. Okay, the first night I dreamt that I was at my store and the power blacked out. The second night I dreamt that I was in a hotel and the power blacked out. The third night I dreamt that I was sitting in the bathroom on the toilet and the power went out. Okay, so when I inquired about that, I realized that I had already made it through that timeline. Okay, I know this is going to be hard to grasp. Like I said, I'm still having a hard time grasping it and understanding it myself. Understanding how these scriptures actually started making sense. Okay, so the higher souls that left, okay, those that walked the earth that was in human form, human souls that were pure, that were clean, they ascended. Okay, and then there was some soul swapping that took place where either their higher self came back in now to walk the rest of the human journey to be judged by the new higher self. It's so confusing. It is so freaking confusing. Okay, I can see it plain as day. I just can't explain it. All right. And the same thing with those from the lower realms that are trying to infiltrate. If no one accepted the mission, then they try to bogart the mission. So these are they that you may have to protect yourself from. Okay? And if they're not getting into your host body, they are getting into other host bodies that's around you, because actually they might want your body. You know what I mean? They might want your consciousness, especially if you're representing some type of light. So be very careful for that, with that situation. So, yes, soul swapping did take place. Okay, infiltrations were taking place. There was a lot of things that have taken place because, like, again, we're closing out the end of a cycle. Okay, and you have to close out the end of the cycle based off of the prophecies of that cycle. All right, now, the new cycle is not going to be anything like that. But in order to get into the new cycle, the old one must end. So what you're experiencing is a lot of soul swapping, a lot of infiltrations, a lot of some ascending to higher realms of consciousness, while others are descending down into host bodies. One or two reasons, okay? If they're coming from the lower realms and they're infiltrating, they're trying to walk out, correct their karma. And what karma are they correcting? These are they who, during a certain period of time, myself included, was being worshipped and wasn't supposed to be worshipped, okay? So these are they who kind of got in trouble by calling themselves gods and goddesses, all right? So when they're here on the earth now, they're teaching and redirecting humanity back to source, back to the creator. Okay. And this is why you're seeing a huge push of people saying, go straight back to God, go straight back to God, and bypass these religious systems, because a lot of these, or some of these religious systems, were praying to angels. Okay. Fallen ones that were masquerading as gods. as the true God. Okay, so a lot of them got in trouble. All of those temples where you see us like this, you know, sitting there like this smiling, you know, things like that. And all of those type of temples were getting in trouble, okay, because they were supposed to direct humanity back to the source. So those are they who are walking the earth now in a human journey, okay, since they was judging humanity so harshly. Now they have to walk out this human journey, and they have to go through the ascension process. Do you understand? All right, that's the best way that I can explain it, by my own experiences and what it was that I was seeing and how I was led to understand it. Again, there's prayers in there for ringing of the ears too. You know, there's a lot of people that are talking about having their ears ringing. Okay, now I can't tell you if this is positive or negative. All right, because once again, that's not how I communicate with the divine. When I am in a mode where I'm receiving information, my head actually feels like it's underwater. And if someone else is experiencing this, please let me know, because I hate being the only one or the first or something. Okay, but I do get it in my ear, but it's not a ringing, it's a pulsing. Okay, so what it sounds like is my head is either in a bubble or underwater, and it's going woo, 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 woo in my ears. And typically when that is happening is when I am receiving my downloads or I am listening to the divine. Okay, and it's almost as if my head is being protected for some kind of reason. So that's the only thing that I'm getting in my ears. I'm not getting the ringing. But there have been those who have been complaining about the ringing as being a negative thing. And if you feel that it is a negative thing that is being channeled by extraterrestrials, okay, or being channeled by a deep state or something like that, or what they would consider demonic laser beam attacks, if you feel like this is an issue and that's what's going on with you, then again, just go through that little link down there and find the prayer that will remove that. If you feel like the ringing in the ears is a positive thing and it's not affecting you in any way, then just go ahead and disregard it. Like I said, I don't know one way or the other because I don't get ringings. I get pulses. Okay? I get like a heartbeat. That's what it sounds like in my ear, and it's very, very muffled. Okay? It's a muffled warping sound when I am in communication with the divine or the ancestors. That's what I get. Or if I'm getting downloads in my meditation room, that's what I get. But it's never been a ringing. Okay? So do what you will in that vein. Okay? But there is a prayer that actually talks about the ringing in the ear. I didn't read into it, so I don't know what it says, but I'm sure you'll let me know. All right. So as far as having draconians trying to infiltrate your consciousness or your psyche, or she said some evil draconians, and I think she was saying reptilians and other species that's trying to do that, you may want to go ahead and protect yourself, because there's a possibility that they really are trying to do this. Everybody wants out right now. That's what makes this time so freaking scary. This is why your discernment has to be on point. This is why I say to you over and over and over again, when you are praying, don't just keep praying. Or when you're manifesting, don't just keep manifesting material mess. Okay? Don't keep focusing on your finances and your businesses and your cars and things like that. Okay? When you're in your prayer and your meditation, focus on your knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and discernment. Okay? Understanding and discernment. That's important to you because you're not walking this earth with all human beings. You're not. Okay? You are sharing this material realm with other species, with other bloodlines. Okay? You are sharing this realm. Remember, they told you in the New Testament a long time ago, be careful how you entertain strangers or how you talk to strangers. You never know when you're entertaining angels unaware. There was a reason why that was said, because they keep infiltrating the earth. Each and every eon. Right now, we are in the 13th eon. This is the age of the Sophia. Okay? This is the age of the divine feminine. She is the last of her kind. She is the last eon. which is why some of us are so highly protected during this time, so highly protected. Okay? Because we're necessary to teaching some of these fallens to get back on track, to purify their light so they can get off of this realm. Ultimately, what the plan is, okay, ultimately what we're trying to do is give humanity their sovereignty. Okay? So the Elohim was ordered off the earth eons ago, but not all of them left and not all of them could. All right? But during this harvest, we're supposed to go. And the only way that we can go is if we clean up some of the things that we've done in the past, purify our light, and then we leave some here behind that's going to continue to govern or to lead the new age, and then we all go home. Okay? So, no, I don't experience ringing. And no, I don't experience somebody infiltrating my psyche. When I went through my death and rebirth, I called unto myself my higher self. And I didn't realize that my physical body was not in a condition enough to handle the energy. And it caused my heart to stop. And it caused me to stop breathing. And for my entire body to seize. So, from my perspective, and from what I have seen, yes, we are experiencing soul swapping. Yes, the Elohim are walking the earth. Yes, there are beings that are trying to get host bodies. Okay? They don't want to be left behind. It is crunch time. And unfortunately, many of them did not do the work necessary to go and through their ascension and to get out of this realm. So they're trying to cheat. And they can cheat by infiltrating your bodies. Okay? So if you are experiencing that, please click on the links below. They helped 2 of my brothers now. So hopefully that will help you. Also, you can click the link to purchase your Dragon Lotus mug. And you can also purchase the link to get Rise of the Ezer Connecto. All right? That's the best that I could do. My name. I hope I helped, but that's all that I have. Now, if you are needing more, I do have a sister who understands a little bit more of the technological aspect of it, you know, the rays and the things like that that are going out and who's behind it, you know, because she was able to witness that portion of it. Okay. I went through my own experience with it to give me the wisdom to understand what it is that I was processing and what people who were in my field was processing. But I could not relate to what she experienced and what my brother experienced. So I got those 2 connected, okay? And then they found their own way, and therefore I'm just going to keep the information sharing, keep the wisdoms going, okay? If you need more than that, then send me an email with some details and I'll get you in connection with 1 or 2 of them. But as far as I'm concerned, yes, I know all about, you know, the soul swapping. I know about the infiltrations, and I know about, you know, what I felt like when I was being born again, okay? And like I said, I don't think I'm the only one that this happened to. I know everybody thought it was funny when I kept telling them that I was getting ready to die. And for a while, I thought it was funny too, until I actually experienced it. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know that I died. That memory came back to me a little later on. I remember going through the seizing. I remember going through what looked like a film strip, okay, of all of these past lives and, generations of things. I remember seeing all of that, maybe that was the time that I was going through my judgment and didn't even know it. Okay. Because I just woke up the next day, but I do know that I wasn't the same when I woke up. I wasn't the same. My confidence wasn't the same. Who I am wasn't the same. The way I look at things is not the same. And so I know who I am now and what I'm here to do. Okay. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. So I hope that helps you guys. I am Sophie. I love you all. Bye.